Hey guys, it's Blitzcrank back with more Genshin Impact. I'm gonna be reviewing the limited banners that are currently up. The standard format starts with quick character reviews and then tied up into a quick summary at the end. If you want to go straight to the TLDR section, this video is timestamped, so feel free to skip ahead. Without further ado, I will start with the featured 5-star character, Tartaglia, otherwise known as Childe. There might be other ways to say this, but Childe is a problem child. This is personally very heavy for me to do because I was really looking forward to pulling Childe. I even tried to get to at least the second constellation for seeing Chu in the last banner, but I didn't quite make it. Long story short, the really bad news is when I realized that there is no way Childe can be in the melee form forever unless he is at the max constellation. So the question becomes, is he even worth building around? The first problem facing Childe is his role. Is he meant to be the DPS carry or is he meant to be a burst support? Because by definition, DPS carry is meant to be the one that is active on the field, when the other character's skills are all still in cooldown. The problem is, once he cannot be in that melee form anymore, he has to wait for a very long time before he can go back to being in melee. And while I don't have the numbers, the range auto attacks don't seem to be that impressive. On top of that, the long cooldown isn't treated as an active skill, so weapons like Sacrificial Bow doesn't do anything. The only reliable way to get Childe in melee is to max his constellations. Okay, so if he's problematic as a DPS, does that mean he's supposed to be a burst support? That is also problematic because he tends to want to be on the field for quite a long time instead of just swapping to him and then press Q and swap out. Meaning if he's not the carry, he'll bring a carry. Now the time that carry is on the field is significantly reduced because Childe wants to do Childe things. The question is, does that make the overall team DPS higher or lower? Compare this to someone like Deluxe who is being buffed by Bennett, then having Xingqiu's ult and Fischl's bird actively on the field, for example. This is a single carry who, when active on the field, is wreaking so much havoc because all of the supports are supporting him seamlessly. But when you have Childe in the team, well, let's say he replaces Xingqiu. So now, whichever DPS is actively on the field, that DPS is being supported by only Bennett and Fischl. Anyway, due to this predicament, it's not surprising that currently many of the team comp suggestions for Childe revolve around fire characters like Bennett and Xiangling and electro characters like Fischl. The reason being Bennett, Xiangling, Fischl, and even Jean, if Jean is included, right, are characters that can fill the void while Childe's E is on a long cooldown. Now, on top of all this, currently there isn't a dedicated artifact set for water DPS in the game. This should be the easiest fix in the future though, because in the future updates, well, we will have different artifacts and possibly other water DPS heroes in the game. I think there should be appropriate dedicated artifact sets in the future. But the biggest question still remains, will there be characters whose design will complement Childe's in the future? Does a team comp exist whose overall DPS potential will exponentially increase by having Childe in it? For those of you that have been pulling undeniably S-tier characters like Venti and Klee and expect the 5-star to be on the same level this time, unfortunately, this doesn't seem to be the case yet. At least until people have done more tests with Childe. Okay, so Beidou. Beidou is one of the most exciting characters for those of you who like to be rewarded by fine, get good plays, you know? When you have Beidou's Ascension level 4, she unlocks the perfect counter skill. This is an elemental skill that can hurt as hard as an ultimate. Because Beidou has terrible autos, she's designed more as a support character. The best way to play Beidou would be to swap into Beidou, perfect counter, swap out. If you do this right, it is extremely rewarding. The only downside to Beidou is not really Beidou's fault, because being an Electro support character, she's competing against Fischl for that spot. And yes, Fischl is definitely one of the best support characters in the game. Plus, everyone is getting a free copy of Fischl in 1.1. It's as if they don't want you to build Beidou at all. But Beidou, mechanically speaking, is a lot more interactive and interesting. So especially for those that miss perfect timing parries from the Dark Souls series, Beidou is the right way to go. Moving on to Diona, one of the two most exciting 4-stars in this banner. In fact, if you guys are going to pull this banner, those that are far away from PD should rejoice because the 4-stars are probably way more exciting. So first things first, Diona is a support healer. It means that if you guys don't have a second healer, then she is a priority pull. If you guys have decided to get Bennett from the store, it's I kept saying, and the only other healer that you have is Barbara, then please still try to get Diona. The reason is because Barbara is the only healer in the game that doesn't bring much to the table. But because she's free, most people will have no choice but to run Barbara. Now let me do some quick comp analysis for Diona, the details of which will be in future videos. The first one is for Razor as the primary DPS. Okay, so take note that Diona cannot replace Kaeya's role despite a similar cooldown on her E, because the aim on the E is harder to control than Kaeya's, and the fact that Kaeya's fidget spinner will stay with Razor wherever Razor goes. Also, Diona takes longer to get her ultimate up, and the field that she makes the cryo application more restricted. Running both Kaeya and Diona is a viable option though, so there's no need to rule her out entirely. It's just that if you're lucky and you did pull Chi-Chi is still the best healer to go with Razor, because Razor has better synergies with characters that have a long skill cooldown. The second one is Chongyun as primary DPS. Diona should be the best healer for Chongyun main right now. She is better than Chi-Chi, better than Barbara, better than Jean, better than Bennett. The reason why she is better is because she can apply cryo from a range. So you can start with Diona to Sucrose to Xingqiu to Chongyun. If you use Chi-Chi or Kaeya instead, you would have to go into the melee range. And Kaeya is good, but there is no healer in the team comp. On top of this, Diona's ultimate is a field similar to Chongyun. This can be used as an extension of cryo application for when Chongyun's field is on cooldown. Basically, Diona is the best opener for cryo to be swirled by Anemo supports in the game for the Viridescent Vanilla proc right now. Next, Ningguang. Ning is quite possibly the best 4-star to pull in this banner overall. So Ning is useful even with minimum investment as a way to proc the archaic Petra set, but if you do invest heavily into Ning, she's one of the support characters in the game that also hit rather hard. For mono element teams that want to get the bonus from both the Viridescent Vanilla and the archaic Petra set, you'll mostly want Ning to be the Geo character. Lastly, let's talk about the weapon banner. If you're whaling, Skyward Harp is the best bow in the game. This is the same level as pulling the Wolf's Gravestone last banner. For some cases, maybe the BP weapon, the Viridescent Han, can compete as a viable weapon to use. For some cases, maybe the Stringless is still best in slot, like for support Fischl. But being a 5-star weapon, Skyward Harp ticks all the boxes. You get crit rate substat, increased crit damage, chance to deal AoE, which by the way is one of the jarring weaknesses of ranged autos. But if you're a Dolphin, a Minnow or free-to-play, the most exciting thing from this banner is the Rust rate up. This is because unlike other weapons, the craftable 4-star bows right now are not great. The best bow there, Compound Bow, is very awkward because the best use of it right now is on Fischl. And Fischl's design is better as a support rather than DPS. So I would highly recommend everyone to pull this banner to at least get one copy of Rust. To summarize, here's what you want to do. Pull for Beidou if you're itching for a highly rewarding perfect timing plays. Pull for Diona if you have no second healer. Pull for Diona if your second healer is still Barbara. Pull for Diona if you're Chongyun main. Pull for Ning if you don't have any Anemo characters. Pull for Ning if you're running a mono element team comp. Pull for Rust if you don't have Stringless for Fischl. Pull for Rust if your current 4-star bow options are the craftable bows. Pull for Childe if you're okay with a speculative pick. That's all from me. If you find this video useful, please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe for more Genshin Impact content. I will most likely do a character guide on Diona next, so stay tuned for that. Have a great one, guys. Bye bye.